I'm going to keep this as short as I can because I need you all to watch through to the end. This categorically proves exactly what Michael Masi knew in Formula One. It is the 2020 Eiffel Grand Prix, and we're on lap 45 of 60. And what happened is Lando Norris, his car breaks down and he pulls over. So you can see he's parked right in a sensible position. There's no debris on the track. There's no accident. There's nothing to clear up. They've just got to move the car out of the way so the car doesn't come smashing into it. It's smoking a bit, so that's a bit dangerous. Might be something going wrong with the battery pack, don't know. And then we get race control, safety car deployed. So we're on lap 45 of 60, and all the cars start coming into the pits to pit for fresh tyres. So you can see it's now clicked over onto lap 46. Numerous cars are coming into the pits to change tyres. You could see if I went to data view the change in any order, but I'm not going to do that on this particular video because I'm going to make it as quick as possible. So they cut to the fact that Lando's car is being craned off out of the way behind the tyres. F1 TV choose to show us race control, and so we can see clearly from this picture, one, Masi's number 2, this guy with his head behind Masi number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's at least 8 people in race control. There are at least 8 people. You would assume they are mainly FIA officials, all in the same room as Masi when decisions are being made. And on lap 49 of 60, we get the FIA notification, safety car in this lap. Okay, I'm now going to go through exactly what happened. I'll show a bit of the sky gaslighting, but the main focus is focus on what Michael Masi does. Okay, this exposes Michael Masi beyond any shadow of any doubt. Now, key bits of information. If you look at last lap time around this Grand Prix circuit, which was Hockenheim, I believe, for the 2020 Eiffel Grand Prix, the lap record that year was 1 minute 28. The lap record, the fastest lap, sorry, for Abu Dhabi was 1:26. So it's almost identical, very, very similar lap times for the circuit. This safety car incident, and you have to bear in mind, Lando Norris pulled off the track. It wasn't a crash. There was no debris on the track. Marshals were not required on the track itself to be clearing things up. It was a simple operation where the car was parked next to a crane, and the crane could literally, it was there, it could pick the car up and move it the other side of the tile wall. The only complication was the car was smouldering a little bit, so that might have added a bit, but there doesn't seem to be anything shown to us where they needed a fire extinguisher on that car. They might have done, I don't see that, but it was, relatively speaking, a simple clear up out of harm's way. The safety car was deployed on lap 40. So the incident happened on lap 44. Safety car was deployed, I believe, on lap 45. So we lose 45, 46, 47, 48, 49. We don't go racing until lap 50 because lap 49 is the lap upon which the safety car comes in at the end of that lap. Okay, so 45, 46, 47, 48, 49. 5 laps. Okay, similar lap time to Abu Dhabi. And bearing in mind, the clear up operation is simple. The clear up operation in Abu Dhabi is far more complex. Okay, because as I've said before, It was a crash. You had to get a crane on track to remove that car out of the way. You had to get the marshals on track. You had to get the marshals extinguishing a fire. Then they had to brush that powder away. They had to brush the carbon fibre away. The barrier had to be checked to make sure it was safe. The clear-up operation takes far longer. Okay, so therefore, if it took 5 laps to resume racing here, then Abu Dhabi would take at least that, if not longer. So, again, quickly, data view. Simply from 6th position downwards, which is Norris, so he's now out of the race. All right, so the only 5 cars on the lead lap, which is Hamilton, Verstappen, Ricciardo, Perez and Sainz. Every other competitor plus 1 lap. Clearly shows you on data view. Tracker view. Here at turn 6, where I'm trying to wave my cursor, that is where Norris pulls off the track. Okay, so at this stage, Lewis Hamilton is leading. He's between turn 7 and turn 8. Max Verstappen is round the other side of this hairpin bend sort of thing between turn 6 and 7. Daniel Ricciardo. Okay, now watch this. Look how far Daniel Ricciardo is back. I'm going to trace the track back, pass through where Norris is, back through where Leclerc is, back through where Gasly is, round turn 4, Hulkenberg, Raikkonen, Grosjean, Giovinazzi, Magnussen, back to the start-finish line, Latifi, Vettel, Kvyat, and all the way back here to turn 12 is where Daniel Ricciardo is in 3rd. That's a long way behind. Perez is then a bit further back round at turn 10, and Sainz is back here at turn 9. So Hamilton is not far away from lapping Sainz in 5th place. Behind Sainz was Norris, who was back round here, but then it's Leclerc. Okay, so look at the distance here. Look at the distance between Carlos Sainz in 5th position, okay, and his next competitor now is Charles Leclerc. So the distance that Leclerc has to make up to try and challenge Sainz is, Leclerc is this red dot here that I'm trying to wave at, okay, and he's got to go round here, and then he can challenge Sainz. Okay, that is 6th position challenging 5th, because he'll be 6th once Norris retires, which he has done. Look at the distance that 3rd has to go in order to be able to challenge 2nd. Ricciardo has got to go around here to Kvyat, around turn 15, down the start-finish straight, around here, around here, around here, around here, down through where Norris is to there. That is the distance between 3rd and 2nd. Right? These are all the differences. And let's watch what happens, but bear these margins in mind, because you could look at every single gap between every competitor, but the key is how it's sorted out. Anyway, I'm going to play you through, listen to what Sky Sports presenters say, because again, they constantly hype things up, they constantly make things up, and they make fake drama. It's a show. It is entirely a show. And the trouble is, there's a huge proportion of the audience that hasn't got the brain power to understand that they're lying and they're just coming up with a load of bullshit. There's many of us that have watched it for years. We can see through the bullshit. We know that all the time you can watch the race and you can zone out to what they're saying, because most of what they're saying is bollocks. They're just putting forward hypothetical bullshit that you know to be bullshit, right? But there's so many unsuspecting fans that get carried away with it, and that conditions their beliefs. And that gets them excited, because all the drama and all this uncertainty, that then excites them. They're like, oh, is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? Brundle's saying this could happen. This could happen. And none of it's valid. None of it is. And I can prove it because it doesn't happen, and it never happens. But they still continue to lie to people to pretend it could happen. But there's a reason it never happens, because the rules don't allow it to happen, but they still keep saying it. So, anyway, I'm going to play it through.
So, touch and go. It depends how well Ricciardo's tyres hang on. So the right front looking a little bit angry.
Oh, that is Lando Norris, who we have heard a lot on the radio this afternoon, going through many issues with the power unit and the sensor, and that is Lando Norris out of this race, pulling over and parking up.
What are they going to do to get that out of the way easily? Will that require a safety car?
It might require a virtual safety car in the way that we had when George Russell stopped a little bit earlier. He's parked up right by a tractor there. You could see it in the background, so he's found a very good place to stop. It's massive disappointment there for Lando Norris, who was having a great old battle, and as a result of that, they're getting ready in the garages here, because this could be pit stop time. The yellow flags are waving where Lando Norris has stopped on the outside of turn 6. No indication yet that we're going to get a virtual safety car.
Yeah, they seem to be getting ready for that. That's a really difficult car to move, sort of wedged up. So they've got to put men out on the track so they can cover it under double wave yellows. The bodywork there's trying to catch fire.
They might just need to do something about that. As Lando finds the deck chair formerly owned by Fernando. Oh dear. That's a real shame. Back-to-back pointless races for Lando Norris, and this was the end today. Anti-stall kicked in, and the safety car has been deployed.
So you can see the speed change of the driver. They've all slowed down. They've all got the message coming through saying safety car deployed.
Full safety car.
The full safety car, which at the moment, Lewis Hamilton coming around turn 11 as our race leader. Max Verstappen making his way up to turn 10. Daniel Ricciardo's come straight into the pits with the safety car being deployed. I would imagine there'll be a few others joining this one in the pits. Ted Kravitz.
Yeah, this is a bit of a gift for Daniel Ricciardo, for Renault, although they're slow getting the tyres on, but eventually they get to do it. Let's see how it goes out.
Well, Ted,
and see there, Daniel Ricciardo's emerged out of the pits before Hamilton comes round, so he doesn't get lapped.
You can see from the roof, Checo's going down the main straight at the moment. He has stayed out, didn't need to pit.
No, but then he's got Daniel Ricciardo right behind him on a brand new, fresh set of tyres. Carlos Sainz pits as well, and so does Lewis Hamilton. And Red Bull are out for Max Verstappen as well. So it looks like the Hamilton-Verstappen will stay as it is. Hamilton leading Verstappen. That's a clean stop. Nothing wrong with Hamilton's stop. And then it's Verstappen in now as well. So that's changed the face of the whole Ricciardo final place for the podium fight, isn't it? Let's have a look at the Ricciardo, the Verstappen slot. Yeah, soft tyres, a little bit slow by Red Bull's high standards, but not so bad.
But what this has done is it's given Racing Point track position with Sergio Perez. Has given Daniel Ricciardo fresh new tyres right behind him once we get going again. So they've swapped around. That podium battle could yet come alive, and it's also completely wiped out the gap that Lewis Hamilton had, Martin Brundle, with Max Verstappen, which was around about 11 seconds.
Yeah, it's really changed the face of the race. It's the Racing Point have rolled the dice with Perez, because of course they'll all...
So Hamilton's on lap 46 now.
End up stacked up behind the safety car. Perez won't only just be under pressure from Ricciardo, it'll be Sainz and others too, with his tyres that have now done 16 laps if they get a fresh set of tyres on them.
Hulkenberg pitted again, comes out in 9th place. I think Gasly also came into the pits. And there you can see Bernd Maylander in the safety car picking up our race leader. It shouldn't be too long, a safety car, but this is just to clear away the McLaren of Lando Norris the outside of turn 6, and to do it as safely as possible.
So Perez will pit now. He's got enough time. It'll put him back behind Ricciardo, but it'll keep him still. So, yeah, that puts him back in. They've got to be careful, though, that the...
So, like I say, just on turn 6, you could see from the picture Lando Norris pulled his car right to the edge of this gravel trap, and there was a tyre wall right here where I'm waving the cursor, and all they had to do is literally hook the crane up to the car, lift it over them tyres, and that's the job done for the clear up operation. No track to clear, no barrier to check.
Well, the safety car, of course, is not a virtual safety car, so the safety car's got to complete the lap. So Perez will now pit, goes behind Ricciardo, and equally fresh tyres then. So I wonder if they'll bring the safety car in right at the end of this lap with that car out of the way, or whether we might have to...
I wonder, will they bring the safety car in right at the end of this lap? Remember, I'm telling you, Sky Sports are full of shit and lies. Full of shit and lies, right? But focus on what MASI does, okay? Because it's not even possible. Brundle has said, I wonder if they'll bring the safety car in at the end of this lap. Not in any way possible, not in any way in accordance with any of the rules whatsoever. And the rules will become clear because MASI bases the decisions he makes on the rules of the sport, and it demonstrates what MASI knows. Ignore Brundle and Crofty, they are liars.
Get another lap, then they might let the lap runners through, which is pretty much everybody, isn't it, apart from the top 5.
Well, that's what they always do, is to let the lap runners go through, which will give Perez a chance to be right behind Daniel Ricciardo then, when the safety car goes in.
It's not mandatory to let the lap runners through, but they
So there we go with the circle jerk again. Two guys just having a chat over a beer. Oh yeah, well they could do this, well they could do that. Oh, it's not mandatory, it's this, it's it. Bollocks. You are the experts of the sport, but what you're doing, you are lying to the audience to hype everything up, to give them this false sense of jeopardy and of what could happen next. Anything could happen. It's utter lies. This is a sport. It has rules. It has processes. It has procedures. You have to comply with them. And you two are just employed as hype jobs.
tend to do that, as you say. It's an option.
Need to tell the safety car to speed up.
Copy, Lewis. I think this is going to take a while to get the cars to bunch.
So are the pit crew? Are they going? Oh, the safety car come at the end of this, or do they just go with their decisions in accordance with the rules of the sport because they know what they're doing? Because you're employed in a role where you know the rules, you know the procedures, and you will make your decisions based on the rules and the procedures. And quite simply, you'll say, yeah, not to worry, there's a long way for this to still play out.
So is the safety car just decreasing its speed a bit to help the pack close together? Because obviously you don't want drivers going fast to catch up. What you want is a pace that they can all maintain and catch up eventually, because they can go a little bit faster than the ones directly stuck behind the safety car at the moment.
Yeah, as this lot come across the line, Perez and Sainz are only down at the bottom of the hill in turn 7 of 15. So it will take a while for them to get here, and they can't just stick their foot down. They've got to come past any incident at reasonable speed. You can't just pin it and go.
Yeah, I mean, they can when it gets cleared away, which it was looking like it was very much in the process of being cleared away.
It's unsafe for him to go this slow for us guys with these tyres.
Okay, copy, we'll feed that back.
What Hamilton's worried about is losing temperature in those tyres, and when we get racing again, them being too cold, and the prospect of locking up going into the first corner.
And they weren't new tyres, because neither him nor Verstappen had new tyres available after qualifying. Lewis is sort of doing the equivalent of somebody on the motorway asking you to, pulling up alongside and asking you to go a little bit faster in the fast lane.
Well, they're definitely...
What are you saying, Brundle? You drive on a motorway and do that? Utterly ridiculous, man.
You're going to have to let the lap cars pass, because you've got Charles Leclerc in between the race leader and the second place man at the moment.
Yeah, the safety car can't be out for long, Nate, because the tyres are getting so cold.
Yeah, copy similar comments from Hamilton as well.
But I think, just looking at where the cars are positioned, so Hamilton and Verstappen coming through turn 8 at the moment. Ricciardo, who's in 3rd place, is going through turn 5. And there's a lot of lapped cars, obviously, in between them. So this could actually take quite a while.
Yeah, they don't have to let the lap cars get all the... Well, I hope...
Oh, it could take a while now. I thought it was coming in at the end of the other lap.
They don't. All the way... Yeah, now the lap cars can overtake, but they don't have to let them go a complete lap and catch up the crocodile again.
Just get out of...
So we're on lap 47. And watch the dots go by the leader on lap 47.
If they're halfway around the lap, it'll do just fine.
Just get out of the way. But then do they let Ricciardo?
Get out of the way. Right? Get them out of the way is what Sky Sports are saying. You've heard it time and time again. They're getting them out of the way. And they're asking, do you allow 3rd place to catch up with the top 2? Ridiculous.
Does 3rd place man catch up to the back of Verstappen?
He will.
Okay, and just check this list. Remember, the first lapped car release was Charles Leclerc in 6th position. So everybody from 6th downwards has been lapped. And that's down to 15th. Daniel Kvyat, the white dot here, just close to turn 12. So watch. Look at the start-finish line where the checkered flag bit is.
Anyway,
safety, yeah, before the safety car goes in.
Yeah. Perez and Sainz still haven't caught up with Ricciardo, though. But another advantage you get, if you're catching the pack and then they release the safety car, like Perez, for example, on new tyres, and you've been going at a faster pace, wow, will you have an advantage on the restart?
Tyres are that much warmer.
Yeah, it'd be so much warmer and therefore up to pressure. So Perez almost wants to...
Okay, look at that. Daniel Kvyat, the last lapped car in 15th place, has passed Lewis Hamilton, passing the safety car as they're going over the start-finish line by what it looks like on tracker view. I'm not cut into track at the moment or in-car camera view, but this tracker view seems to indicate that the last lapped car has passed the safety car and the leader on lap 47, which means lap 48 is the mandatory safety car lap that the race director has to give these released cars with which for them to attempt to catch the back of the pack. Then at the end of this lap, at the end of lap 48, you can go racing again. The rules enable you to go racing again when you just look at the rules to the letter of the rules. However, those rules are underpinned by the FIA International Sporting Code, and that dictates sporting fairness to every competitor in the event. Watch.
To pace himself a little bit to get to the back of Ricciardo.
So a good decision. So Perez coming in and then conceding that track position once more. Not a bad idea in terms of his fight with Daniel Ricciardo, who is now right up to Max Verstappen, as you can see in your picture.
Yes, because there was a lovely gap appeared behind Perez on the 2nd lap after the...
Remember how far Daniel Ricciardo was behind Verstappen at the time where Norris went out of the race? Okay? Remember how far Charles Leclerc was behind Carlos Sainz?
Safety car was deployed that enabled them to pull him in without any risk.
So Ted, down to you.
Tell you someone who hasn't passed beneath me here on the pit building is Romain Grosjean. That's because in the Haas he's on the hard tyre, and it's not quick, but it is durable, and they think it can make certainly the end of the race, and it's earned him P7 at the moment, but with Pierre Gasly, Nico Hülkenberg behind him, which are quicker cars. And I've got an update on his finger.
Oh good, because he has been driving through the pain barrier.
Yes, exactly. He's been driving through the pain barrier and hasn't been on the radio again, so has tell me to update them or grouse about it. So he's being brave, Romain, there, and if it is causing him some pain, he's not complaining about it anymore.
So rather than explain to viewers the rules of the sport, exactly what they are, rather than explain the implications of the rules, why they are what they are, why sporting fairness to every competitor has to be considered, hence this procedure, we cut to Kravitz in the pits, giving it some bullshit waffle about somebody's little finger. And we get speculation, which is all waffle and lies from Brundle and Crofty. This entire shit show is a hype job. It's a hype job designed purposefully to gaslight people, to hype people up that don't know what is going on, and just get them excited. You fluffers.
So yeah, having quite a race, and to finish in the points for what would be the first time since he last raced in Germany. Hockenheim last season was the last time Romain Grosjean scored any points. Well, what a great afternoon that would be. Now the track is now clear where Lando Norris parked up.
They can bring the safety car in this lap because the pack are far enough out of the way now.
You are correct in saying they can bring the safety car in this lap. It's nothing to do with the pack being out of the way. Nothing to do with the pack being out of the way. Look at, well, we'll do this at the end of the lap. Look at the gap between first and second, the gap between second and third, the gap between third and fourth, the gap between fourth and fifth. What's the gap between fifth and sixth? That's not sporting fairness.
The safety car can't stay out another lap, mate. The tyres are way too cold. The others have much more benefit than...
Max demonstrating that he knows the rules once again.
We're talking about those that are catching the pack up, which has now happened with Perez and Sainz, have got much more temperature because they've been travelling more quickly than the safety car.
So you can see all the back markers there.
They can definitely come in this lap, the safety car. We don't need them to catch all the way back up again to the crocodile.
Michael Massey is the man who makes the call. He is the FIA's race director, and we're watching our timing screens. Lights are still on for the safety car, clearing the corner where Lando Norris parked up, but no indication that the safety car is coming in, and it's too late to make that decision on this lap. So we've got at least another lap then of the safety car behind.
So, to the letter of the rules, they can go racing now. Massey chooses not to. Massey is using his overriding authority over the use of the safety car. His 15.3. He is using that now. That is what it is for. It is for him to determine whether or not, once you have completed the procedure, you can still prolong the use of it if sporting fairness has not been accomplished. That is his discretion. His other way of using it is if he is looking at the track and he's looking at conditions, and let's say, for example, it is raining and there's a lot of spray, and he feels if he begins racing immediately, there are likely to be accidents, he can make them lap for a couple of laps to see if the conditions improve. That is his 15.3. That is the overriding authority. The procedure is mandatory. You can't meddle with that. But what does he know? What is he choosing to do? Because he knows the purpose of the rules. He knows the purpose of the safety car rules. He knows the purpose of the FIA International Sporting Code.
Behind the safety car to go.
Paul just said to me from Sky Race Control, what pit sign?
And as I said, look at the gaps. First to second, second to third, third to fourth, fourth to fifth, fifth to sixth.
It's Sainz there, nobody will overtake him, and he will then be able to catch them back up again.
So you let Daniel Ricciardo catch up half a lap, okay? But Leclerc was closer to Sainz before the incident of Norris than he is now. You cannot allow a safety incident to a competitor to skew the outcomes for the drivers in such different ways. One guy gets to gain half a lap where somebody falls back from where they were previously challenging. No, you cannot do that.
Again, with a lovely set of warm tyres. They haven't done that.
No, he wasn't on a safety cars coming in this lap, but he wasn't on a new set of soft tyres anyway.
He probably hasn't got a brand new set. But there'd be, well, if they're in the blankets, safety car is now in this particular lap. If they're in the blankets...
So it's been announced at this stage, because there's a good chance that these cars will have caught the back of the pack by the end of this lap. But also, he's made the decision, well, one lap is mandatory. I'll give them the additional lap, but that's enough time out of the race. That's discretion. That's where that discretion comes into it. Okay, he's giving the opportunity.
And they're up to 100 front, 80 rear as they're allowed to be. It would be very handy. They might be concerned that Leclerc would pass them, but anyway, they didn't do that. So
Esteban Ocon then watching from the pit wall, and along with Lando Norris, Alex Albon and Valtteri Bottas retiring from this race with engine or hydraulic issues. Some mechanical DNFs for those four. George Russell retired after being hit in a collision with Kimi Raikkonen, got Kimi Raikkonen a penalty for his troubles. Alex Albon got a 5-second penalty for taking out Danny Kvyat's front wing. Kvyat is now running 15th. Mick Schumacher watches on then at the Eiffel Grand Prix at the Nürburgring, where his dad won 5 times. The most successful Formula One driver on.
So there's 6th, caught up with 5th.
This circuit.
So Leclerc's going to rock up with the rest of the pack behind him with much warmer tyres.
They have timed it.
They've still got a lot of this lap to go. There's still going to be a lot of weaving. But what you're doing, you're creating the hype job again. You are creating this jeopardy to demonstrate to fans, oh, look at what's going to happen. On the restart, we're going to get all this extra thing because he's got better tyres now and hotter tyres. Whoa, it's going to be crazy when it restarts. Hype job. Hype job.
Did absolutely perfectly, really, and not just Leclerc, but also Grosjean and Gasly and Hülkenberg as well. The front two have been talking about tyres. Getting cold, not enjoying the speed behind the safety car. How cautious will they be going in to the first turn? Verstappen's already trying to get alongside Lewis Hamilton, who's now backing up the pack even further to let the safety car go. And as you can see, Charles Leclerc has just arrived there at the top of your picture and is just a little bit behind Carlos Sainz, but he can make that up over the next few hundred metres.
It's going to be like...
So there you go. This is how a race restarts after a safety car incident. Approximately half a second between each and every competitor. With each competitor enabled to be able to challenge the car in front, but at the same time be subject to being challenged from the car that is behind them. That is sporting fairness to every competitor in that race. That is the purpose of the safety car rule. That is the purpose of the safety car procedure. It is underpinned by the FIA International Sporting Code.
Driving on ice for those front few.
Well, they wanted the safety car to get its skates on.
Driving on ice. Again, what is he suggesting now?
They might have to deal with a skating incident themselves here. Don't forget, of course, Hamilton's got the DAS system, and that really helps warm up the front tyres. It's exactly why Mercedes have introduced it for moments like this, and he has gone already. Verstappen is struggling a little bit.
And there we go. The race restarts on lap 49. Remember, Norris was on 44. So lap 45, 46, 47, 48, 49. Sorry, the race restarts on lap 50 because the safety car was in at the end of 49. Alright, so 44, 45 is a complete lap, 46, 47, 48, 49. 5 complete laps plus the part of the lap that they were on lap 44. What happened in Abu Dhabi? There were only 5 and a bit laps left of the race, but the clear-up operation was far more complex. And they got racing within 4 laps. Ridiculous. Now, I think I just said within 4 laps. It was just over 4 laps, but you understand the notion what I'm talking about. In the Eiffel Grand Prix, it was 5 and a bit laps. There were 5 and a bit laps left in Abu Dhabi. Okay, similar track length in terms of lap time. Far more complex incident to deal with in Abu Dhabi, and they went racing without doing the procedures. Now, if we go back to what MASI knows, MASI demonstrates at the Eiffel Grand Prix, as he did at the 2019 Spanish Grand Prix, where he did the same with the second safety car lap beyond the mandatory one, as he did at the 2019 Brazilian Grand Prix, where he did the second safety car lap beyond the mandatory one, as he also does at the 2020 Sakir Grand Prix. So in addition to this one, the third occasion, he does it 4 times before Abu Dhabi, and I'll evidence the Sakir Grand Prix as well. He oversees 2 safety car finishes, and this is the steward's appeal at the end of the race, which Red Bull are in attendance with. They're your stewards: Gary Connolly, Derek Warwick, Felix Holter, Mohammed Al-Hashmi. These are, I've done the video on this already. Claims of Mercedes, Red Bull's arguments in defence. Any does not mean all. Article 14.13. Right. Article 15.3. The race director look at the way Red Bull are constructing this. It's not natural, it's preconceived. Okay. Race director's evidence. The key. The race director stated that the purpose of Article 48.12 was to remove those lapped cars that would interfere in the racing between the leaders, and that it was in his view that Article 48.13 was the one that applied in this case. The race director also stated it had long been agreed by all the teams that where possible it was highly desirable for the race to end in green conditions. You know what that means? Nothing. Nothing is stated in the rules. You cannot override the rules of the sport for an agreement. An agreement that doesn't comply with the rules of the sport. That the paying audience that understands what it's watching, that may have gambled on the outcome, on the outcome of an event that is going to be conducted in accordance with the rules, not in accordance with some little side agreement that's some secret agreement that nobody had even heard of until it's presented as some excuse after the event. Right? That is completely irrelevant. Okay? So that long since been agreed it was highly desirable, irrelevant, utterly irrelevant. But this statement here, the race director states that the purpose of Article 48.12 was to remove the lap cars that would interfere. in racing. If that's the case, why did you do what you did in Spain 2019? Why did you do what you did in Brazil 2019? Why did you do what you did at the Eiffel Grand Prix 2020? Why did you do what you did at the Sakir Grand Prix 2020? You know what you did. You know what the rules of the sport were. They would have been clearly explained to you by Charlie Whiting, as you have demonstrated through your conduct. This non-disclosure agreement that you remain silent over, I don't care. You don't need to say anything. This is all the evidence that shows and clearly demonstrates what you knew, MASI. You are a lying fuck. You were a filthy, lying fuck. You know what you did. You cheated. You were paid to cheat. And then you were the fall guy for it because somebody had to take the hit. You are truly disgusting.